So the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom trailer is finally out. Warner Brothers has finally decided to market the quote-unquote last DCEU film. And although I am somebody who actually really enjoyed this trailer, surprisingly, but I do have some questions. Today I'm going to be giving you all of my thoughts regarding the trailer as well as the questions I have going forward for DC as a whole. Starting off, first thing I noticed watching the trailer from the teaser was the CGI looked way better than in the teaser. I don't know what they were thinking putting that Queen Atlanta shot in the teaser, but to me this does look, for the most part, on par with the first Aquaman film, which I know looked spotty a couple of times throughout the film, but overall, from a visual standpoint, was a wild success for DC. And as far as DCEU villains goes, I think Ocean Master Orm, played by Patrick Wilson, who I absolutely love, he's truly a standout in everything he's in, was one of my favorite villains of the DCEU. And the fact that we're going to be getting more of his character in this movie, less of Mira, I think is an absolute win, an absolute trade that I think could actually make this film an improvement over the original, which I did like. I did like it a lot. I think it's a solid DC film. But I am hoping for good things with the bros. The chemistry could be better than the first movie versus the chemistry with Amber Heard and Jason Momoa. If the chemistry is bad between Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa, and let's just for instance say it's worse than it was between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa, and they have an even harder time covering that up, then I think the film could be in trouble. And I know that there's been a lot of reports saying that test screenings for this film have been bad. There's been a ton of reshoots, more than the typical film, a ton of delays. But this is probably the thing that I am most excited for the film, is that this isn't a romance like the original. Like James Wan said, the first film was a romance, the second film is a bromance. Black Manta is going to be the full main villain the entire time, the only villain, not just kind of a side villain or just introducing his backstory. He's going to get the spotlight for the first time. And I think a lot of hardcore Aquaman fans are going to be very excited about that. They've known this for quite a while. It's a dream come true if you're an Aquaman fan. And he is out for blood. He has honestly a really good setup from the first film where he's out for revenge for the death of his father that Arthur caused. Arthur, yes, feels bad about it, but he's not just going to roll over and let himself get killed. And there's a lot of theories about who Black Manta could be going after in Arthur's life. We know that he has a wife in Mira. We know that he's got a baby. His father and his mom are both alive still. His brother is out. So his whole family, theoretically, is a target. And I like that aspect of not knowing exactly who is safe and who's not. At the end of the day, it probably doesn't matter. The action, of course, looked just as good as the first movie. There's a bunch of unknown sea monsters that we haven't seen before, so I think that's going to be very exciting. James Wan and his horror background is a great visual storyteller as well. So I think that this is going to be a very fun continuation of the original film. It's exactly what I was looking for in a sequel to Aquaman, and honestly, my expectations were pretty low. Now, we do know that this is going to be most likely the last DCEU film, although James Wan has came out and said that even though he knows there's a lot of change going around in DC, he's considered this version of his movie his own universe. And what he means is really he treats his films as if they're standalone, even though technically they are connected. So if James Gunn wanted to say that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom came out after The Flash, that in the timeline it takes place after The Flash and takes place in the new DCU later down the road, he could, but it's probably doubtful, but that is a question. This film was not designed to wrap up this universe. It was unclear during production if this film was going to take place before or after The Flash with all of the constant delays. Remember, they had the trailer where they showcased the Batman, Aquaman, Black Adam, and The Flash all coming out in the same year. Speaking of Batman, there was reports that Ben Affleck was going to have a small cameo appearance as Bruce Wayne, and then it was reported that it was going to be Michael Keaton, and then it was reported that both had been cut. And James Wan has basically said, yeah, I can't really say anything until you see the film. Speaking of seeing the film, there is a lot of doubt whether or not this film is going to be a financial success. All of the DC films really since the Batman and really since Black Adam have really had a hard time at the box office. The first film was a absolute success, the highest grossing DC film ever. So it is a damn shame that this movie took so many years to get out in theaters and just is not able to capitalize on any momentum whatsoever. It's attached to all of this DCEU coming to a close, the DCU reboot, not to mention a really hard time for blockbusters and movies this summer in general. Coupled with, there were some off-looking CGI sequences that have kind of gone viral. Queen Atlanta looking like a creature of the deep. Plus, you have all of the flack with Amber Heard still technically being in the movie, even though she was only shown once in the trailer, thankfully. There's still so many years of delays and reshoots. I am hoping for the best. It was also reported that Willem Dafoe's Volko will not be in the movie, and I think that's a huge loss. I think he was a great character for Arthur to bounce off of in the first film. I also really liked him in Justice League, so it's a bummer he won't be in there, but these are just my kind of rambles and thoughts and my questions regarding the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom trailer. Have you seen it? What were your thoughts? If you enjoyed, we are a small channel. I would ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help us a lot. Thanks so much, and until next time, have a great day.